Welcome to our latest Reading from the Archives. Today's session is focusing on school days and features the personal diary of a new teacher at Taverham Hall Prep School, with entries 20 years apart, a logbook from St Mark's Primary School, Lakenham, after an air attack on Norwich, some letters from the centre of the Burston Strike School situation, and a logbook from 1870s Wolferton, including preparations by the pupils for the Sandringham Flower Show. In 1942, Norwich was one of several historic cities subjected to air attacks between April and June, known as the Baedeker Raids. Named after a popular German guidebook to Britain, the attacks were launched in retaliation for a Royal Air Force raid on the medieval German city of Lübeck. After the raid overnight on the 26th of June, a teacher recorded the following in the temporary logbook for St Mark's Primary and Infant School.
1942, June 29th. On the night of June 26th to the 27th, 1942, in an air attack on Norwich, St Mark's Church of England Primary and Infant School was totally destroyed by fire. A very large number of firebombs were dropped on the area and no firefighting appliances were available, so that a number of houses and business premises were destroyed as well as the school. Some very large, high explosive bombs were also dropped in the area, the one on the eastern edge of the churchyard damaging the church, dwelling houses, as well as both schools. I ran through the churchyard just before the all clear to see whether the school was safe and found it a blazing inferno. Nothing to be done. The only portion slightly damaged was the cloakroom and the outside offices. The material saved consisted of 7 dual desks, stored in the old infant school and not burnt out, 1 pair jumping stands, 1 movable hat stand, about 12 wooden hoops, and a few old backless forms belonging to the managers. June 29th. With the vicar's permission, I arranged to open the school in the adjoining premises, the old infant school, now used as a church hall and also as a clothing store by the WVS. Notices were posted on the building asking the children to assemble at 10 a.m. in the playground and to bring a storybook and a pencil.
Robert Clifford Wilson, also known as Robin Wilson, was a teacher at Taverham Hall Preparatory School. He started working there in 1946 and kept diaries right up to 1998, the year before he died. His writing style is short sentences and gives us a detailed account of his day. We have chosen 2 entries, 20 years apart. The first entry is the very first in his new diary for 1946, and the second is 1966.
Diary for 1946. Friday, 12th of July, 1946. I have given up diary keeping for more than 6 years, but I think I will now resume. I have been at Taverham, Gelderston, about a week, having arrived on Saturday the 6th of July. Today, breakfast, prayers, full morning lower 4th maths, with result of decimals and rough checks. Science, heat, which went well. Borrowed clinical thermometer from Mrs. Hall, and also Max Min from garden. Lovely hot sunny day. Drill on cricket field with John. Break, tea in garden. Did CE papers, lower 4th French. Perfect tense and translation. Lunch. Went into Beccles with John, Pip and Anthers. Bought this book, toothpaste, notepaper, envelopes, stamps, pencil leads, batteries and cigarettes. Back by 3:15. Rain threatened, so prep before tea. After tea and prayers, finished marks. Played organ and tried amplifying class wireless using second speaker. Helped Peels and HH to dismantle shafting in roof of Peels flat. I don't know what it is to come to Taverham for, but coming it is. Supper, then Bell talked about Allied generals. Heard Toscanini conduct Egmont Overture and Beethoven's First from Milan with Hilversum. Came upstairs and wrote diary. Intend to have a bath and write home. Am reading Safe Custody by Dawnford Yates. Still hot, and it feels as if there may be a thunderstorm in the night. Wrote to Tom. Like being here very much. 10:30, bed. Diary for 1966. Friday, 23rd of September, 1966. Warm and sunny. Up 7:40, breakfast. Trunk soon upstairs. Prayers at 9:20. Took 6th twice. Break. Drove to Stratton Strawless, stopping to look at the Briceston in Felthorpe Church. Met Atkins and planned Sunday service. Pleasant E.W. Norman organ in West Gallery, 884-88416, the church being decorated. Decided to have choir in gallery. Drove on to Norwich. Car in St Stephen's multi-storey park. Lunch at Chinese restaurant. Did some shopping, mostly school. Ordered a cornet for Rudder. Collected a birthday cake. Got shoes repaired. Drove back by 4. Walked down to River with Sylvia. Tea, prayers, and first practice. Various jobs. Supper. Heard programme on Wyndham Abbey organ. Bed 11:35.
The next documents all relate to the same famous act of strike action, known as the longest strike in history. The Burston school strike began in 1914, when pupils walked out of their school in a show of support for their teachers who had been dismissed by the Norfolk Education Committee. These documents all relate to prior to 1914, but they give an indication of what was to come when Annie, known as Kitty, and Tom Higden were dismissed from their posts at Wood Dorling. Tom and Kitty Higden were appointed as teachers at Burston and Shimpling Council School in 1911. They had previously worked as teachers at Wood Dorling School in Norfolk, where, as at Burston, Kitty was headmistress. And it is during this time that the documents we will hear about today originate from. The Higdens were Christian socialists, and they had objected to poor conditions at Wood Dorling School. They had also been concerned about the employment of children by local farmers, which interrupted their education. Many of these farmers were also school managers, so the Higdens' activities created social tensions. Eventually, the Norfolk Education Committee gave the Higdens the option of dismissal or employment at another school. When the Higdens transferred to Burston, they found conditions for many labouring families were similar to those at Wood Dorling. Our first document is a letter from Wood Dorling school managers resigning in protest at the treatment of Kitty and Tom Higden in 1910. Wood Dorling, Norwich, December 16th, 1910. Dear Sir, we hereby desire to acquaint the Norfolk Education Committee with the fact of our intention to resign our position as parish school managers, as a protest against the scandalous treatment which Mrs. Higden has received during the past 2 years, at which the parish expressed its opinion at the last parish meeting. Treatment now culminating in her dismissal from the school, where she has worked so faithfully and given so much satisfaction for nearly 9 years. We cannot express either our own or the parents' feelings and the feelings of the majority of the people of Wood Dorling and district in regard to the matter. We all think, and nearly everybody is saying, what a great shame it is. We have done what we could as managers, but without any fair chance, while the vote of the parish meeting, the resolutions of the parish council, and the petition of the parents all appear to have been ignored. The voice of the parish and parents, whom we represent, being apparently entirely disregarded, the position of a parish manager appears to us to be useless. Your obedient servants, signed John Cottrell and Robert Ransom. Our next document is a copy of the final entry by Kitty Higden in the Wood Dorling School logbook, dated 23rd of December 1910. The original entry in the logbook was removed.
MC 31/51. Last entry written by Mrs. Anne K. Higden in Wood Dorling School logbook, December 23rd, 1910. Today school is closed for the Christmas holidays. 2 weeks and the head teacher and her husband are dismissed from the school on a false charge, the iniquity of which it is assuredly hoped and believed will yet be established. On this last year's Form 9, the word "no" will be found written against the character and conduct of the head teacher, written by Mr. Bussons, chairman, and attested by Mr. A. Williams, vice chairman. And for this, and for the false charge of using the word liar to the chairman of the managers at the managers' meeting of March 18th last, for many other false charges, both against herself and against the discipline of the school, and for the shortening of the holidays, due to the children 2 years ago, when so many were so very ill, suffering from sore throats, which after were notified, and which disease afterwards culminated in the deaths of 3 beloved children, who were brought back to this diphtheria-infected schoolroom against the most earnest advice of the head teacher, after Dr. Berry had reported little Harriet Neal to be dying. For all these things the present head teacher looks for that justice which cannot fail. Signed, Annie K. Higden.
Our final document in the Burston series is a letter by Tom Higden to the Norfolk Education Committee, dated 17th of January 1911, asking them to reconsider their dismissal of Kitty from her position as headmistress at Wood Dorling School.
MC 31/24. A letter from Tom Higden. Wood Dorling, Norwich, January 17th, 1911. Dear Sir, I beg to thank you on behalf of Mrs. Higden and myself for your letter of 13th inst, conveying the decision of the Burston and Shimpling school managers. I desire to say, however, that since complying with your request to send in the application forms for this school, I have been able to obtain certain statements, copies of which are appended to this letter, which I understood some time ago would, if procured, enable the committee to permit us to remain in the Wood Dorling School. Both my wife and myself hope that this point may be given the same importance by the committee now. I may say that the case of indecent assault referred to in the copies of letters enclosed is not by any means the only one. The girl who succeeded Edwards was also similarly ill-used while lighting the kitchen fire in the morning, and she fled to the house of Mr. Neal, late school manager, who drove her away the same day. Statements of these other cases can be obtained if required to further show the kind of man we have had to deal with. Not only were these poor girls treated in this way, but they were made out to be untruthful and sent away without their money and without a character. Miss Harmer of Mattershall told me that she took care never to be alone with him, his wife having warned her when she first went there. She also said she believed he hated her and that she left because she could not get her money. Why should the mothers of Wood Dorling lose the services of an old and trusted friend and teacher to gratify the wishes of a man like this? The people all around here for miles are simply amazed at the fact of our dismissal, as anyone by visiting the neighbourhood may prove. I therefore beg to ask the committee to do my wife the only justice it is in their power to give her, and to reinstate her in the position from which she has been dismissed, on the complaint of a most disreputable man. I am, sir, your obedient servant, T.G. Higden. To the Secretary, Norfolk Education Committee.
Entries from the Wolferton School Logbook from 1877 give us an idea of how the pupils were adjusting to their new schoolmistress, who had recently taken charge. We hear about new pupils joining the school, the academic achievements or not of those attending, and the preparations that were being made by the pupils ahead of the Sandringham Flower Show.
Wolverton Logbook, 1877, January 8th. School reopened after the Christmas holidays by Anna Louise Vitti, first class Queen's Scholar and provisionally certificated. January 12th. Attendance this week regular considering the wet weather. Children very backward in their work. Order tolerably good. Reading of first class very moderate. Average of the week 32.9. Present at all 37. January 16th. Examined first class in dictation. Result very unsatisfactory. January 18th. Reverend W. W. Dickinson visited the school and took scripture lesson this morning. January 19th. Some improvement in attendance. Average of the week 36.1, present at all 41. January 22nd. Admitted Arthur Gent, aged 9 years. January 23rd. Admitted Maria Gent, aged 13 years. Remarkably backward, not having attended any school before. Attendance today very unsatisfactory owing to the extreme severity of the weather. February 20th. Admitted Emma Louise Gull, aged 5 years. A very thin school this morning owing to the weather being unusually wet and boisterous. February 28th. Examined first class in reading this morning. Result very unsatisfactory. The reading of this class is at a very low standard, considering the advanced age of many of the children. April 16th. Harry Hudson returned to school after being in the hospital with bad eyes for 17 weeks. April 20th. Examined second class in reading this morning. 7 of them read tolerably well. Others, owing to irregular attendance, are very backward. Average attendance for the week 34.7. Present at all 43. May the 2nd. Reverend W. W. Dickinson examined the writing of second class this morning. Expressed himself satisfied with the progress they had made. May 28th. School reopened after Whitsuntide holiday. Admitted Mary Cox, aged 5 years. June 4th. Received notice of the visit of the Diocesan Inspector, Reverend Russell, on the 22nd instant. June 11th. Commenced needlework, etc., intended for exhibition at the Sandringham Flower Show, to be held in September next. June 22nd. School inspected this morning by the Reverend Russell Diocesan Inspector. Half holiday this afternoon. Average attendance for the week 35.7. Present at all 42. January 26. Reports of Diocesan Inspector that for a school of young children for the most part, I consider this school to be in very good order. The 2 first divisions answered the questions put to them with considerable ability. The transcription from memory was very fair. The mistress has not held her situation long. Another year I shall look for better results from the infant class. The singing of the hymns and chants were most creditable. The children appeared to be in good discipline under the mistress. July 9th. Readmitted Emma Louise Gull. July 13th. Writing of first class inspected by the rector. Considered they had made very favourable progress. July 16th. Very showery this afternoon. Moderate attendance in consequence. Emma Garrett, aged 6 years, has broken her arm and is consequently unable to attend school. July 20th. Many absent this week on account of haymaking, the children being required to carry dinners and to take care of infant children. August 1st. Prize work for Sandringham Flower Show progressing favourably. August the 2nd. Reading of first class very creditable this morning. Arithmetic very unsatisfactory. August 10th. Needlework for Sandringham Show completed. Reading of second class much improved. Arithmetic very moderate. Attendance thin and irregular. Average for the week 32 present at all 39. Broke up for the harvest holidays. September 10th. Reopened school after 1 month's holiday. Attendance very thin as the harvest is not yet finished. Only 15 present this morning. September 13th. Sandringham Flower Show. A holiday as the children go to the show. September 14th. Several of the children obtained prizes for needlework, etc., exhibited at the Sandringham Flower Show yesterday. September 17th. Admitted Herbert Gull, aged 4 years. September 18th. Annie Gent absent with whooping cough. September 20th. Reverend W. W. Dickinson visited the school, having received notice of the visit of H.M. Inspector. He also informed the children of the prizes they had merited at the Sandringham Flower Show. They were awarded prizes amounting to 24 shillings.